don't be satisfied. You should always be unsatisfied, but you should be grateful. I started to like rig the system, understand that you by nature are a person that is designed to do the wrong thing.
Mina Elias is a serial entrepreneur who has generated over $600 million in sales on Amazon with his rigorous and organized approach to business.
When you line up all the shit that you want to happen, and every day you're like, okay, how can I get a little bit closer? That's when you actually reach the goal. You know how they say like comparison is the thief of joy? To me, it's not. For me, comparison is like how I get context on how well I'm doing.
Today, Deep and Mina are going to discuss how to organize your life to become a high performer and share insights that made them successful in business.
How do you prioritize?
Yeah, I have a very simple system. You're gonna love it, dude. It's very simple, actually. So
this show is all about simplifying success and realizing potential 1% at a time. My guest today is my brother, Mina Elias.
my man, what's up?
Bro, thank you so much for coming on. It's Not That Deep, bro.
Dude, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, bro. Look, there's a million titles and identities and whatnot that I could assign to you. MMA enthusiast, supplement brand owner, agency CEO, software developer. So many things that, you could identify as. But to me, bro, you're the no bullshit operator. All right. That's like what I get when I see your content, when I see everything that you're all about. And it leaks into every area of your life. So I'm excited to talk about all of that today on this episode of It's Not That Deep.
I love it, man. Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put who I am as a no bullshit operator. That's for sure.
Well, starting with that, man, we just got a dope session in training with your trainer. And that's kind of where I want to talk about, where I want to start this episode, because you have been taking fitness very, very seriously. And it's like, since I've met you, I've actually seen you take it even more seriously than, why is that? Why is fitness so important to you as a no bullshit operator?
Dude, first of all, I believe that your body is like the machine that you're in, right? Like it's like your car. So like if you're in a Toyota Corolla, right, and you upgrade to like a Lamborghini, right, or upgrade to a Bugatti, you're going to go further. You're going to go faster. And so that's the way I view my body, right? Like my body at like, extra 30 pounds of fat is going to operate way slower, way worse than it is when it's like, 11% body fat, more muscle, and obviously internally too. Like that's why I take like a lot of peptides, supplements. I do my blood work regularly. I go like do a lot of biohacking stuff. I work with multiple.
Oh yeah, bro. We see the nose strip,
more oxygen. So I believe that if you invest in your body, a lot of people like the easiest thing to do better in business and in life is just to have a better body, right? Because it's the machine. So if the machine works better, you're going to perform better. Every area of your life is going to improve. That's why I take it so seriously. But also I don't know, bro. I'm addicted to like, looking good, feeling good. Like I'm obsessed with being like the best at everything. And so part of that is like physically, I was not happy. When you met me, I was like way heavier, bro. Like, I mean, people would be like, oh, you're in great shape. But I'm like, dude, I'm in great shape compared to the average Joe who fucking sucks. Compared to like the top UFC fighters and the bodybuilders in the world and like the top athletes, triathletes, I look like shit. And so I was like, I had to look at myself and be like, bro, do you even have the discipline to get to that point? And to me, I was like, shit, I have to prove to myself that I have that level of discipline to get to that point. And so I hired, a much better coach who was way harder on me. I hired a spotter, like at the gym. I literally have a guy that shows up at the gym to make sure that I push. Like I leave nothing. Like I leave the gym dying. Every rep I push to the max. I hired like a personal assistant to cook all my meals, prepare my smoothies, my green juice, my salads, my turmeric shots in the morning, obviously all my meal prep. So I don't have to think anymore. I'm following a plan, and that plan is getting me to exactly where I need to go. And so that's why I take, health and diet so seriously.
Do you always compare yourself to the elites in all realms of life?
100%, bro. Like that's my only comparison is like the top 1% in whatever category. So like whatever, I can't stand being like not good at something. But I don't take it in a negative way. Like, so if I saw someone who's better than me, you know how they say like comparison is the thief of joy. To me, it's not. For me, comparison is like how I get context on how well I'm doing. And so when I look at the guy next to me at the gym who's like bigger, more shredded, I'm like, okay, what are you doing, man? Like, tell me, like, how did you get here? Let's compare me versus you. What am I not doing? Why am I falling short? How can I get there? And as long as I can be the top 1%, I don't have to be the number one, right? Obviously, number one means like dedicating your life and everything to this, sacrificing a lot, which means you could sacrifice relationship and all this other stuff. I just want to be the top 1% in everything, right? And how do I get there? Just finding the right people who've been there, done that. They tell me what they're doing. I find like coaches, consultants. They tell me what I need to do. I create a plan. Here's my current state. Here's my future state. This is how I get there. And then I just commit and then, stay consistent.
And I got to experience it today, moving with your coach and getting some proper training in. And, first of all, like, he's incredible, and thank you. I appreciate you lining that up. But I do that because I want to get to know as well, like, how you approach, one slice, but like how you do one thing is truly how you do everything, right? And so to me, I got to see, okay, yeah, this guy's a real deal. Like, you're actually putting your all into this workout, and you're already talking about, like, I have 2 workouts today, and then I'm doing, and we're talking about all these different things, and I really enjoy seeing that because I don't know if you've seen, but for me, like, I'm obsessed with this concept of 1% better. How can I just make it a little bit better every day? I used to think, oh man, I got to make these massive changes and do like 50 things in a day, but like inevitably, like, at least for me, I would fall off. I would try to do way too much in one day. Like, I'm going to wake up at 4. I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to do all this stuff. But then by Thursday,
You're cooked.
I'm done. But if I could do one thing every day, like, pull back my sleep time by 30 minutes, buy a nose strip, every little thing, it stacks up. And I feel like you've got the systems pretty dialed. But speaking about, systems, I mean, you have a system for basically every single area in your life. Beyond fitness, what's some systems that you're most excited about right now?
Yeah, so actually, it's a good way to put it. I have a system for everything, and I treat every area of my life with the same respect that I treat business. So like, people will look at me and they'll be like, man, you're weird, dude. Like, why is your relationship like this? Like, dude, I have like KPIs for my relationship. I have like current state, future state, a therapist, like consultants, coaches, like to help my, everything, right, in my life. And so what I'm most excited about right now, and I felt has been a little bit of a weak point, was I've always had this, like, it's a triangle, right? It's health and it's business and it's social. And usually if you're thriving in 2, the third one suffers. So if you're thriving in your health and in your business, usually social life will suffer.
Yeah.
And the other 2. So what I'm excited about right now is I'm building a system. I'm using a CRM essentially for my personal relationships. So you, Jamie, my other friends, what I've been experiencing right now is, especially since moving to Miami, I'm getting introduced to at least one incredible person every single day, right? And this is very valuable, but because, like, I always tell people this, the solution to every problem in the world is in someone else's head, right? So if you have a problem, like you have any problem, like let's say lead gen, let's say sales, let's say fulfillment, whatever, someone has mastered that shit and he has the answer. And
They've already solved it.
They've already solved it. And so this is why I think networking is very important for me. Not from like a selfish, like I need to get something from someone, but like when you surround yourself with this environment of like amazing people with the same core values, with the same, morals, good morals, and they're also very successful or masters in different areas, your life naturally just becomes incredible. Because, if I need help with content, bro, I'm just going to text Jamie, bro, I'm struggling a little bit. Like, I have this mental block. Like, how can I do this? Boom. It doesn't even take him 5 minutes because he's a master at this shit and he gives me a whole thing, Same with you, in any other area, right? Like that you're a master at. And so what I'm very excited about is I found a few applications, softwares that I'm testing out right now, which are personal CRM. So they can selectively pull from every app, like whether it's your contacts on your phone, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, right? WhatsApp. And so every single time I meet someone, I'm adding them to Instagram, adding the whatever, it will prompt me and say, do you want to add this person? And so I can add this person, like choose this is a person I want to, make sure that I keep in touch with or not. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is it views a map. So I'm now training my executive assistant. I'm like, go look ahead on every single one of my upcoming travel. So let's say, right now I'm gonna go to Paris and then Ibiza and Mykonos. After that, I'm going to Tampa for like a weekend, and then after that I'm going to Dubai. So I'm like, that I'm going to these places. You already booked these flights. Go look at the map in my personal CRM and tell me who is in that area so I can plan ahead of time. Like if I just did one dinner, and let's say like every time, bro, like I showed up somewhere, I did a dinner, I invited you, like let's say it's in Miami, I invited you and 6 other incredible people. First of all, everyone who's invited, including you, are going to be like, dude, Mina's amazing. He always puts together amazing people. I will deepen my relationship with you and others. It kind of takes my social life with a more like serious,
It's more intentional.
And I think that's where I'll tell you this story. I was in LA, bro, and when I moved to LA, I moved into $1,000 a month, a 10-foot by 10-foot room, right? 10-foot by 10-foot is like the size of the stable, like, pretty much. It's very tiny. And so when I got there, I was locked in, and I grew, and I went to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million a year, and I kept growing. And I remember like in 2023, like, dude, I mean, I was so far ahead from where I came in, but it was just me. It was my girlfriend, now my wife. And I'm like, dude, like life just doesn't taste the same when you can't share all like the amazing stuff with other people. Like, of course we have each other, me and her, but like 2024, became very intentional about socializing, right? And building a circle. And I said, you know what? I moved from the 29th floor to one floor above, which is the penthouse. It was 1.5 times the size, but the most important thing was it had a lot of room for like a dining table, and like we could host people. And the second that I did that, I just started inviting people regularly every weekend, hosting them. It deepened the relationship tremendously. And I could tell you 2024 was probably the best and most fulfilling year of my life from a social standpoint. I had so much fun. Life was so good. And nothing, like I was still the same successful guy. My success was growing, but before, like the friends, it wasn't as enjoyable as after the friends. And so that's when I realized, I'm like, man, you could have everything in the world. And that's why probably some, multimillionaires and billionaires are depressed, is because they probably don't have that human interaction. And I know myself, like my wife is an introvert. And so she could do a little bit of interaction, but she can stay home and she's happy, she's vibing. I'm the type of person that gets fueled around other people. And so when I'm like, oh, this weekend, like, oh, let's go hang out with these people and, get kind of stimulated a certain way. And then next weekend, different group of people. That is what really fuels me. It makes me like live a better life. And so I'm like, I can't let this happen naturally. It's not going to happen, especially like when you're getting introduced to so many people. Some of them could become your future best friends. You don't know if you don't have a system, if you don't like nurture that relationship and all that stuff. So I'm trying to take it very intentional, whether it's in Miami. Okay, perfect. In Miami, number one, what's our KPIs? I want to meet, one couple and do like one double date, let's say every other week. I want to host people, every other week. I want to go out with a group like once every other week, whatever, stuff like that, right? So I'm having these KPIs. I'm having my assistant, so it's a team member that is like being held accountable to set up these things. And I'm also utilizing software and technology and all this stuff to bring it all together. And I mean, that's I think what I'm most excited about, because I have the health now. I have the success, and it's trending, in terms of business in the right track. So if I can crack the social and able to have all three, I think that would be huge.
Yeah, then you solve your triangle.
Yeah,
and most people are never able to do that in their life. They might be successful, like you said, in one or two of the areas, but like they're absolutely suffering in another. And what I really appreciate about your approach is that you always, like from what I know about you, you recognize a problem or a future problem, and then it's a problem for yourself, and you're like, let me build a system around it and let me solve it, and then let me actually attach KPIs to it. How would the everyday person or someone who's just listening to this start doing that for their own life?
Yeah, that's great. It starts very simple. Current state, future state. So first of all, I do this actually with I have 11 areas in my life, which is like spiritual, physical, like, health, business, relationship, family, social, travel. So I broke up my life into like these 11 categories, and I said, okay, I'm a benchmark where I am right now, right, in all those categories. And then I'm going to put what's the future state. So in 12 months from now, what would like the dream be, right? Like if I hit these,
So
like,
sorry, is it qualitative or quantitative? Are you assigning like an actual number?
it starts qualitative, because you can't assign numbers. Like numbers are a means to an end, right? The first is like, let me get a very clear vision of where I want to go. Like, let's put the dot in the GPS. Like, there's no point in telling you turn left after 0.1 miles, turn right if you don't have the end goal. So first I put the end goal. Once I have that, then I'm like, okay, let's do a little bit of back mapping. This is usually I'll either bring in a consultant to help me, a coach or consultant, or if it's simple enough, I'll do a little bit of mapping. I'm also trying to get AI to help me a little bit, just to see if I can leverage it. But okay, if I have 12 months to, do X, Y, and Z, let's kind of break it down. So in each month, what should I accomplish? That's when I'll set the KPIs. Okay. Because I know the end goal, and I know, okay, like the end goal is like this, right? And so at 12th of it, should you be there, at 12th every single month. And now I'm tracking my score. So this month I did, let's say it's supposed to be 10, I did 8. So I fell a little bit short. Next month, push a little bit harder, 9. And the beautiful thing is, you will most likely fall short on every single one of your goals at the end of the year. And I've always done that. I've fallen a little bit short on every single goal. Maybe one I've been able to hit, but I'm so much further along than I would ever have been if I haven't done this. And I was measuring. I was like, okay, wow, this is my growth in every area of my life, year after year. The second I started doing that, it's like, dude, I'm having like exponential growth. It just looks on the outside that I'm falling short, but it's almost like this, almost like you want to do, let's say 100K a month in profit, right? Set your goal to 150K. You'll probably hit 120K. Yeah. You'll fall short, but you'll definitely exceed what you could have done.
Interesting, man. I've never heard someone speak about that concept, but it reminds me of this one book that a friend recommended to me that actually really changed my frame on this, called The Gap and the Gain. And I love that concept so much because, without getting too far into it, it's basically we focus so much on like, I need to get to 150K to be happy. Let's just say it for that example, right? I need to get to 150K a month to be happy. But let's say I got to 120, but last year I was at 50. Bro, I just gained so much. If I focus on that gain instead of being so focused on the gap, I'm going to just be a lot more fulfilled. And like, it's a great kind of framework, but I love how you just naturally build that into, falling short of your goals, but like you're failing forward a lot.
Yeah. It's the progress is progress, it's progress over perfection. That's one of my core values too. 1% better every day is also one of my core values. So I'm 100% all for that. Is basically, first of all, don't be satisfied. It is okay. It's 100% okay to be unsatisfied. You should always be unsatisfied with your life, but you should be grateful. That is what people mess up. Gratitude is what's going to like remove stress and make you happy. Satisfaction is what's going to make you like stay where you are and stay comfortable and eventually become complacent. So I'm unsatisfied with every area of my life, but I'm always very happy because I'm practicing gratitude. So I'm focused on all of the amazing things. I'm so grateful for my health, my relationship, my friends, my family, I'm just every day listing all of the things I'm grateful for. And it's like, wow, man, fuck if the business is burning. Life is good, dude. Yeah. And then, but I'm like, shit, I'm so unsatisfied. I suck at marketing. I suck at sales. I suck at this. I suck at that. And I'm like focused. I'm very determined to crush these things without letting my emotions get in the way.
How do you so I sense that you have like a very high level of self-awareness and you're constantly evaluating yourself, your life, and like you have these systems and frameworks to do it. But for most people, like that's not even like close to their reality. Where do you start?
Yeah, man. Okay. The best way to start is, I would say, pick a few areas and then bring someone on the outside and then just have them objectively judge you, right? Like, this is why, for example, I was talking to my friend, right, the other day, and he's like, Mina, like, you push yourself like super hard at the gym, right? I'm like, to be honest, bro, no. Like, I thought I was until I hired a guy. Then I'm like, bro, I was not pushing myself hard. You know what I mean? And so that is like one of those things, is like the best way to remove yourself from the equation is to bring an objective third party. Like if you brought a doctor and he is like, okay, let's do some blood work. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty healthy, doctor. He's like, no, you're not. This, right? Here's your plan. You no longer need to think about it. So I think when it comes to like being self-aware, first of all, I understand like human nature, and I understand that we're always gonna veer off and like try to take the path of like
more comfort.
more comfort, least resistance. And so what I try to do is I try to rig the system. So it's like, okay, like imagine if like this way is the path of least resistance. I'm gonna put swords. So like if I go this way, I'm gonna get stabbed, right? So I'm like, okay, shit, I can't. So that like common example, no snacks in my house. Nothing enticing. Every day, guess what I do? Every day I open the fridge, I open this freezer, I open the pantry, and I look. I'm like disappointed. I'm like, fuck, there's nothing good in here, and I close it. And like, if there was a single thing good, dude, I would have eaten it. Yeah. And I'm disciplined. Like I would have eaten that shit. So I started to like just rig the system. Like you understand that you by nature are a person that is designed to do the wrong thing. Like we will all do the wrong thing. Like if there was no jails, bro, everyone would commit crimes. We know that, right? So instead of like trying to fight it and be like, no, I got discipline, like take that out of the equation. Rig the system. So like at home, I know that I'm gonna fuck around with social media. Get the thing that like you put your phone in and you just can't take your phone out, right? By nature, you're gonna eat the snacks. Remove all snacks. By nature, you're gonna not go to the gym. Do something that
or a trainer that meets you at your house or something. Like remove any excuses.
Yeah, I used to struggle at a certain point with creating SOPs, right? Because I created so many SOPs, and then I got to a point where I'm like, dude, I'm struggling to like find the time to be able to sit down and like record it. So what did I do? I hacked the system, and I said, I told one of my, I told my CEO, I'm like, yo, bring me one of my employees who needs training on this topic. I'm gonna build a curriculum and then get them on my calendar 30 minutes every single day for the next like 4 weeks. And I forced myself to train that person live and make the SOPs. Like that's how I hack myself. So that's been the biggest thing for me.
When we first met, you had told me about, the way you went about this was one of the most interesting things ever. You basically just told me and Jamie, like, yo, anyone who doesn't have a life manager is a fucking idiot. I didn't even know what a life manager was until I met you, bro. What is a life manager?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked, bro. So a life manager is basically an executive assistant, personal assistant, and travel assistant all in one. They're essentially... this is what they do, right? You do things every single day. Their job is to document every single thing that you need to do now or in the future and find a way to take it off your plate and do it almost as good or just as good as you. And so right now I have my life manager. She manages my personal assistant. So I have her. She does executive, personal, and travel. And then under her, she has one direct report that does strictly personal. So basically, I was talking to a friend much more successful, does $20 million a year in his agency, and he's like, I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels here. I'm like on calls nonstop. I can't even think. I can't work on the business anymore. He's like, okay, do you have an assistant? I said no, and he's like, you need an executive assistant right now. I'm like, but I'm only doing like $3 million a year. He's like, bro, can you pay someone 5-6K? What if someone can buy you back 20-30 hours a week of your time? Would you? I'm like, dude, in a second, I would pay them $6K a month. He's like, then do it right now. Went, hired. And here's the biggest thing, bro. People are afraid to do that because I'm going to tell you this. Your first assistant, second and third assistant, probably all going to be shit because you're still learning the role. And it's a very intimate, it's almost like I have another girlfriend that's platonic that needs to deal with my shit. Like the only difference is, she gets paid to deal with my shit, but dude, it's so intimate because like they do everything. Like they do, she handles my doctor appointments. She not only that, like she will, if I'm not like proactive about my health, she will reach out to my doctor and be like, hey, we got to get you on Mina's calendar. Like, without me even asking. She'll be like, when's the last time you did your blood work? Oh, it's been like more than 3 months. Shit, we got to get you blood work. You know what I mean? So I gave her the goals. I'm like, this is my goals, right? She knows my current state, future state. And I'm like, help me achieve these goals, get everything off my plate. And it's her job to like find every single thing that I do and get it off my plate. My wife was driving the other day, a nail was in the tire of the car. She's going to go get it handled. Now imagine the tire, the nail in the tire, the doctor's appointments. I want to switch my gym. figuring that out. I want to find a spotter, figuring that out. I want to find a coach, there's a billion things that you do every day that are one-off tasks. And you're like, oh, why should I hire an assistant? I'm just going to do this once and never do it again. I guarantee you're going to save at least 40 hours a week if you hire an assistant. And so when my friend told me hire an assistant, he was just referring to executive assistant. But I like took it a step further. I was like, dude, I'm going to get everything off my plate. Like, why am I packing my own bags? If I'm traveling, all I had was one time we just sat down, we built the notes, and I'm like, okay, this is how you build what I'm going to pack, right? I need my socks and my toiletries and my, gym clothes, and I need this and that. And so for every day, build an outfit and, whatever, like pack it. And so now she comes with me. She's like, day number 1, we need these 2 outfits. What do you think about these? I'm like, okay, these ones, sure. And it takes me 5 minutes to pack my bag. And then once I choose, I just do the selection of stuff. And then she just packs everything. She has a checklist, there's pictures of everything. In case a bag gets lost, we have proof that it was packed in there, and we can send it to the airlines and get our money back. So everything's dialed, and that's the power of an assistant, man, or a life manager, like I like to call it, because it's not only business. Like, you just need to get everything off your plate so you can be in your zone of genius.
You're optimizing for joy and happiness by removing all the shit that doesn't bring you that.
Exactly.
Like, packing your bag does not bring you any extra joy. Calling the mechanic, getting your laundry picked up, coordinating supplements, calling the doctor. Like, this is all stuff that I feel like we've all just accepted that we just have to do, but we don't. Like, there's another reality out there, and like, you'll be happy to hear this, but like, I took your advice seriously. And when I recently went down to Colombia, I'm like, look, I might not be at Mina's financial level where I can afford a full-time person in the US, in person, like handling everything. Maybe not there yet. I will be though. But down in Colombia, I'm like, I think I can do exactly that. And so I found one. And big shout out to Laura. So I brought her onto the team. And the scariest thing for me was, because I've always had virtual assistants, executive assistants, whatever, manager, calendar, email, spreadsheets, stuff I just don't want to do that is related to work. But somehow I was still managing my laundry. I was still coordinating with my personal trainer. I was still like doing so many things that I just find myself like exhausted at the end of the day just from like my never-ending to-do list, which already as an entrepreneur, I don't have to tell you, is like infinite.
And it never ends.
It'll never end, right? But if I'm thinking about my management of my energy, of my aura, of like what actually brings the most value, no, that's not worth my time at all. Like, I love that principle from Dan Martella, buy back your time, right? You are embodying this. So when I go down there, I found her, and she just started off as like the life manager. I'm like, look, I just want everything turnkey. I don't want to think about anything while I'm down here. I want my meals delivered to my crib every day. I want laundry picked up. I don't even want to like drop it. I don't want to think about it. And all this stuff, I had the luxury of doing it. I found out she's like a chemical engineer. She's really smart. She's way better at systems than I'll ever be, honestly. And she mapped out every section of my business and is still doing that today, and has saved me over 50, 60 hours a week, and is more talented than me in that. And I'm sitting there with her doing the painful experience. But one thing that I will say I 100% agree with is how intimate it is. Not in that type of way, but like, yo, you're literally like, I need your help with everything. Like, I got to open up everything and be like, yo, all right, cool, let's build an SOP for that. Like, actually, this is how I like to travel. This is the type of hotel I want. And you've got those SOPs for every single thing. You were just showing me before all the crazy SOPs and stuff. Can you talk to me a little bit about like this course, this curriculum that you're putting together, and like what your plan is for that?
Yeah. So I have a lot of agency friends that struggle to like do the operations side of the business. Like, they'll either be really good at sales, they'll really be good at marketing, maybe they'll be like a master at the fulfillment side. But when it comes to like end-to-end operations, like starting from, the way that I structure it, like, first of all, build your company org chart, right? And then it should be divided in divisions. So you have like the company at the top, right? That's the head. And then you have the marketing division and sales division, and then fulfillment and finance and recruiting. And so break it all up. And then I start to set goals. I'm like, okay, I want to hit 300K net profit every single month, right? And so What does that mean in terms of company goals? Well, division goals, which means marketing's probably got to bring me 150 qualified leads every single month. Sales is probably got to bring me in 80K new MRR every single month. And, the average order value needs to be 4,000 so we can have like good quality clients. Fulfillment needs to keep churn under 5% and they need to grow the brands by over 50% year over year. Recruiting needs to close the roles in under 28 days and there needs to be a 90% passing on the probation. So then I set the goals of each division. Then I start to set scoreboards. So, okay, we have goals. Are we keeping score of where we're at, right? Because imagine if we're playing a basketball game and there's no scoreboard, bro. Come on. Like there's no point. Like you're never going to get better. You're never going to push. And then I go deeper one level, activity scoreboard. So it's like, okay, if we want to get 150 qualified leads every single month, what are we doing? What activities are we doing? Are we doing one YouTube video a week? Let's take it to 2 and let's see what happens. Are we doing, 4 new creatives a week? Let's do 8 new ad creatives a week and see what happens. Are we outbounding 1,000 emails a week? Let's outbound 2,000 emails a week and see what happens to the score. And then and only then can you change one thing at a time, see how it affects the score, and then you're like, okay, cool. When I went from 1,000 to 2,000 emails, my score went from 60 qualified leads a month to 75. Let's do that again. 2,000 to 3,000. It went to 83. Perfect. You know what I mean? Okay, let's pause here. I feel like I'm tapping out. Let's go into YouTube. 1 YouTube video a week. Let's go to 2 YouTube videos a week. I went from 83 to 95. Oh shit. Let's 3 YouTube videos a week. Then I went to 100. Okay. And then I pushed those videos with ads. Then I went to 115. And so that is how I like structure the business. So no longer is it Mina tell everyone what to do. You guys know what the fuck to do. There's goals. You got to hit those goals. There's shit that you can influence. You pick what you want to try. Test the YouTube videos this week. Test the ads next week and see what's going to happen to the score. And then you're now independent on your own. Everyone's rowing the boat in the right direction. So starting off with that, then going into, okay, people is the most important part. So step number 1, how do you find the right people? Building out the entire process of like, first of all, documenting every single thing that you need that person to do. What are their KPIs going to be? All that kind of stuff. Building the job description. How do you start going after people? Paid ads like LinkedIn ads, outbounding. So identifying those people, which companies they're working for, whatever, using Boolean searches on LinkedIn Recruiter, and then going after those people, start messaging them, build the presence of your company as like, wow, like this is an amazing company to work for, build the vision. And then the interview process. How can you have a very rigid, tight interview process that if someone passes, they're definitely a good person? The 90-day probation. So having 30, 60, 90-day goals and KPIs, and then being super relentless on right before the 90th day. Is this person a fuck yes? If they're not, they're a fuck no. And that's it. And so once that person's in the company, the other thing is, number 1, you're finding really good talent, but really good talent's okay. You can supercharge them. You can take someone who's really good talent. You could take them from like a 6 to a 9, right? Or like a 5 to a 9. With the right training materials. And so that's where I built Trainual. Trainual is a software. You can use anyone that you like. I like Trainual the most. I tried them all. But basically what I did is I would take a person, like let's say I'm hiring a new accountant, for example, right? I would take that accountant and I would lay out every single thing that accountant needs to do. And then I would do calls with them and I would show them exactly how to do it. And that would build the training. And then I would pass all those videos on to like ops team. They would chop it up to put it in the training library and they would convert the video into also like step-by-step screenshots. That's my SOPs. And so now I've literally downloaded my brain, which is supposed to be the best brain, in the company, into like a university level course with quizzes and a final exam. And I'm not doing that. Like my accountant is not only learning accounting shit. They're learning how to use Slack, how to communicate properly, how to build, their Google Calendar and their agendas, how to, time block, how to, when they're asked 10 different things, how to prioritize. So I'm not teaching you just how to update QuickBooks. I'm teaching you how to perform at the highest level, right? If I'm going to even tell you like, dude, don't have a carb heavy breakfast right before you're going to do reconciliation of the books because you're going to get sleepy and that shit is boring. You know what I mean? Like I go to that level of detail. So now I have my goals. My company is all rowing the boat in the same direction. I'm finding the most talented people in the world. I'm relentless about it. I'm always replacing the bottom 10% of my company. And then once they come in, they have this university level program that they're going through. And if and only if they pass what I call the Trivium Bar, which is a very difficult exam, if you pass it, it means you are up to like that high level standard. I'm basically trying to replicate myself. You don't need to innovate like me, but you need to at least do the shit as good as I do it. And then we move on to like, other areas of the business. But that's essentially operations. And so like my friends are struggling with this stuff. And I'm like, okay, got it. This is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go and do a full day of recording, build that entire course, and then just give it out to people.
I could tell now why Trivium's one of the fastest growing companies, in the US. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and it comes down to every single department and ruthless like training, ruthless SOPs, ruthless tracking of all the KPIs and everything. And I liked what you said too of like cutting and chopping the bottom 10%. How do you like? Is there like any human element to it, or is it just completely on the numbers? You either performed or you did not perform.
So 100% on the numbers. Like, listen, there's one exception, two exceptions. I have some people, like 1% of my company has cancer. And I'm like, listen, give her a job, make it non-critical. I'm not going to fire her until she's in remission. You know what I mean? Those are the exceptions. Other than that, dude, I'm not like, okay, I'm trying to be as relentless as a sports team, like the LA Lakers, like, whatever, the Miami Heat. Like, if someone is in the bottom 10%, you think they're keeping them?
Nah,
unless
no
they're
emotions involved there.
Exactly. Unless they're bringing in value in a different way. If they're not scoring in the game or doing whatever points, assists, blocks, whatever the hell they're supposed to be doing, they're out, bro. And so why is it acceptable for them to do it? And other companies think it's not acceptable for them to do it. And so it stems from like, okay, I tell everyone, like, I am competing at the highest level. This is the vision. We're trying to be the best. We're not trying to be the best because we make the most money. We're trying to be the best because we genuinely deliver the best results for the most amount of people. And to get there, we can only get it with good people. And the beautiful thing is, all the top performers, like the LeBron James, they want to be associated with other LeBron James. They want to be with Kobe Bryant. You know what I mean? When they see someone who's shitty, they're like, yo, get them out. I don't want to work with that guy. You know what I mean? So what happens when people accept mediocrity and they accept B and C players is the A players are like, I kind of don't like working here because now I got to carry the weight of these bucks. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you're hurting yourself twice. You're hurting yourself because your company is performing worse and your top people don't want to work here anymore. But when I said the vision, I said, we're going to be the best. I'm leading by example. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. I'm trying to be the best at everything, like 1%, top 1% in every area of my life. I want people who are like me, and I want people who want to come in, compete, and win at the highest level. And I just attract those people. And, in the 90-day probation, if you're not that person, bro, you're out. Like, it doesn't matter. And if you're in the bottom 10%, you're out. And so some people could have been in the top, 30%. And over time, we just kept getting better and better and better people. And listen, if you work at my company and you eventually get let go, it's fine, bro, because I guarantee you're a 10 times better person than you've ever been in your life. Because what would it do for you if you went and played for one season at the LA Lakers and then got chopped? Bro, you still went from here to here. You know what I mean? Like, that's
again going back to that gain instead of the gap. So I think it takes what I like is there's so much personal and professional accountability built into all of this, and it's kind of dispassionate in the sense that it's like straight up just like look at the numbers. It's just a very clear binary decision in that sense. You've said before that you hate the advice of when people say just hire for whatever you're bad at. Talk to me about that a little bit. Dive in there.
Yeah. The advice, hire what you're not good at. Terrible advice. If you take it, you're going to get screwed over. Best example, because we've all been there, right? You go to a mechanic, you don't know shit about cars, you always get scammed. Always. I've gotten scammed 100 times. The exact same shit's going to happen in every single area of your life, and there's no exceptions. So I used to think like that because I heard people say it. I don't agree with them at all. And what would happen is I'd hire a good accountant, supposedly good accountant, right? And they would come in, they'd start messing with the books. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I can't audit their work. I can't do shit. And next thing you know, I go in with someone else who actually knows what they're doing. And they're like, holy shit, bro, this whole thing is a fucking mess, right? And so whose fault was that? It was 100% your fault for just, I suck at this thing. Let me fucking hire it out. Like, that's like bitch behavior, bro. Okay. So what I started doing is I said, listen, I don't have to be insanely good, or like this is not going to be my career, but I'm going to go find like a CFO, right? That has a proven track record, and I'm going to tell him, teach me. And so we're going to go through one by one. Is it teach me?
So like as a consultant, you just pay for his hourly rate, something like that.
That's
just
it.
So you can learn like 80%. Like what do you?
Yeah, learn enough that I can keep the person who I'm gonna hire accountable,
and they're not gonna bullshit you. And
exactly.
I could tell you from personal experience, I've made this mistake before.
Yeah,
you know, and marketing was a big one. You know, I was identified as like, you know what, I'm good at sales and business development, and you know, I'm a good leader, and I have a vision. I'm a good visionary for the company. But marketing, like, I don't know the first thing about paid ads. I don't know about cold email. I'm just going to hire a team. Every single time I've just like hired that out and I have no idea what's going on, I can't crack the whip when it's going wrong. And it's fucked me before, man. Like just when things are going good, you feel like, yeah, look at who I brought on. Like, yeah. It's when things are going bad that you're like, I can't even point the finger. Like, what's the real problem here? And so, yeah, it kind of had to take that on the chin and realize like, fuck, man, let's go to YouTube University. Let's go anywhere and just like at least get proficient enough to understand like, yo, what are CPMs? What is this? What is that? Like so I know if someone's bullshitting me, you know,
exactly.
At the end of the day, like that's really what it comes down to, right?
100%. And I like that you mentioned YouTube University. What I like to do is first I immerse myself. So I'm like, you know what? When I'm doing cardio, I'm just going to put videos. Like I did this recently with trading. I'm like, you know what? When I'm doing cardio, I'm just going to put videos. I watched like 20, 30, 40 videos. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put in the best. I ask people, what's the best audiobook on stocks? And then I, listen to the best 2 audiobooks on not trading. I don't want to be an active trader, just at least understanding the stock market and whatever. And then I'm like, okay, perfect. Let me go find some experts. I talked to 3 or 4 experts. I'm like, talk to me. They gave me, and this guy who's been doing it for 40 years is like, buy this and hold this and do that, and this is what this means and that means. And then I'm like, okay, I found a trader, and I'm like, teach me how to use this platform, Think or Swim, right, which is the Charles Schwab platform for trading. And then he taught me exactly like, he's like, oh, let me set it up for you, like this is what this means, this is what that means when you did it. But for you, you just need, you're holding, so you just check at the chart, you look at the news, you look at this thing, you look at the earnings, you look at these reports. I made a little SOP for myself, and now I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna like actively trade hard. I'm buying stocks. I have a couple of money managers that I'm competing against them. I'm seeing if they can outperform my performance when I'm buying stocks. But at least if one of my money managers, anyone makes a mistake, I'm gonna catch it immediately. I'm gonna know, or I'm gonna say, hey, what's your strategy? Why are you buying this? Why are you selling this? And I'll know. And so all of that wasn't hard. Like, I mean, think about what I just said, right? Like 20, 30 videos while I'm doing cardio, couple audiobooks, talk to a few consultants, like probably 10 hours total of consulting. One guy who helped me set up the stuff maybe took 1 or 2 hours, and that was that.
As like a founder of an agency, what would you recommend? I mean, how do you prioritize? It's something I struggle with because it seems like everything's a priority all the time. There's hiring, there's sales, there's this, that, and marketing, everything, fulfillment, then the systems for all of those things. Sometimes I do feel, and maybe at risk of sounding like a little bitch right now, but like sometimes I feel like I'm playing a game of whack-a-mole where I start one project on this thing and I can't fully finish it because I'm being pulled for these 4 other projects. How do you prioritize?
Yeah, I have a very simple system for prioritization. You're going to love it, dude. It's very simple, actually. So my mentor told me your number 1 job as a CEO is to ask yourself, how can I make the company more money? It's that. So it's that simple. So how can I make the company more money? It breaks down into 4 things. Can you bring more leads? Can you close more deals? Can you retain people, like clients? And can you bring more A+ players into the company? It's just those 4 things. So let's think about it, right? Can you handle extra clients right now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need more people.
Mm.
Do you have leads to close those extra clients?
Not enough.
So you need more leads. That's it. So that's your priority. Yes, I do have leads. Okay, but they're not closing enough. Sales, right? How do I close more sales? Or I have leads, I'm closing deals, but my churn is powering my sales. Let's focus on reducing churn. Or my churn is high because my team sucks. Then I need more A players. It's that simple, bro. It's one of those.
Jamie, did you hear that? I'm sending this to Jamie after, because I've been saying that. I've been screaming that like from the rooftops. Like, my number one job is to just make us money.
That's it.
That's literally like, I need to focus all my energy on that. And it goes back to what we were talking about before of like, anything outside of that is a waste of my fucking time. It's literally not worth my time. So no, I appreciate that, man. I saw you posted about a meticulous Sunday planning routine. Please, I'm so curious, man. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is the perfect tie into what we were just talking about. But I have 8 businesses. So obviously I can't like prioritize everything, right? And so I'm like, okay, first I had one business. I had multiple businesses actually. I had like MMA, nutrition, and then I had Lapura, and then I had PPC University, and then I had like, and so I started with one business, and one business was growing well. And then when I added 2, 3, 4, it started failing. And I'm like, fuck. So then I went back to having only one business, and I focused all my energy on it, and it grew a lot. And I'm like, okay, but why do other entrepreneurs like have multiple businesses? How can they do it, right? And Eddie was a huge inspiration on like, this guy has multiple businesses. He's able to do it. He's able to grow all of them. And so I'm like, I need to challenge myself. I need to figure out how I can manage multiple things, run multiple businesses, and all of them grow at the same time. So it came down to a very simple formula. And the formula is, I do my Sunday business planning, and I sit down and I say, okay, what are the different divisions in my business, right? Marketing, sales, fulfillment, HR, finance, operations, whatever. And I note it down for every single business. And the second thing is, I'm like, okay, I'm going to list 3 things. If I do these 3 things this week in that business, not me, but like someone needs to, then for sure the ball is going to move forward, and that division is going to get they're going to hit their goals closer. They get closer to their goals, and that's going to lead to making more money, right? And so I sit down and I'm like, okay, Trivium, marketing, how can I get more leads? Well, if I do this, that I'm hypothetically, I should get more leads. I pass that on to my team. I'm like, guys, here's 3 things I want you to get done this week, non-negotiable, measure the score, and let's see if, that moves the ball forward. I do it for every single division. And then I do it for every single business. And so every single business is the exact same thing. What do I need to do this week so I can move the ball forward and so I can make more money? And I assign one person. So all of those things, all of those like 3 things need to be assigned to each person in the division, whatever. So it's really good to have a division leader. And so it's not me, right? I'm just sitting there planning, and then I'm passing it on to someone who should be very good, qualified, and I'm there to support if they need me. Usually if they're stuck, I'm like, either I can fix it quickly or I know someone that can fix it quickly. And then I have a project manager, operations manager, CO, whatever you want to call them, that is their job is every day to check in on all those people and make sure that those 3 things are being worked on. And that is how I move the ball forward in every, not just business, but every area of my life. So every Sunday, I'll also go through like that 11 categories I mentioned, which is, I call them my manifestation, which is where I'm at, where I want to be. I'm like, okay, spiritual, I want to do more charity work. Perfect. So what's one thing I could do this week to do more charity work? Oh, I know. Relationships, my wife, I want to do a date week. Perfect. I'm just going to put a message right now. Hey, Clara, please plan a date night for me and Brandy. Whatever she wants, just, you figure it out, get it on the calendar, ask her what she wants to do based on her energy levels and based on what period of the cycle she's in and all this fucking bullshit, and then just get it done. Social, same shit, whatever. So I just plan my week on Sunday, and that's it. Once that's done, everything falls into place, and I never need to think.
And are you sitting there with your assistant doing this, or you're just doing it alone, anywhere in the world, anytime?
Alone, anywhere in the world, anytime. I just sit, and it's really good if you're not working at all on Saturday or Sunday, because if you're working, it really makes it hard. And I was just talking to my COO, because I've been working 7 days a week for like a while now, right? And it's good. I'm in flow. My energy levels are super high. I'm like enjoying it. But what that does is, when you work 7 days a week, you like on the computer in the work, right? It stops the creativity from coming in, and you have a very hard time taking a step back and like looking at the big picture and able to strategize.
Yeah.
So I told her, like, listen, I'm going to have to go back to a couple of weeks of only working Monday through Thursday, take Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Because when I do that, my brain starts to decompress, no longer in the weeds, like doing all the little stuff. And the ideas start to come, and I'm like, shit, I just connected 2 dots that I wouldn't have connected in the past. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. And look, there's 2 competing forces, right? On one hand, I think it is important to work very hard. And I think that we could all work harder than, we should, but it's also about working smarter and knowing about the management of energy. And I find that, I enjoy working on the weekend because no one's bothering me. And like I can do like higher level, like strategic stuff. I can work on this show a little bit more. I can work on like all types of different things that like I enjoy, right? But I feel like when I do that also on the Sunday, and like I'm all day pushing hard Monday through Friday and then Saturday and then Sunday, I do feel like I'm like, man, like every day is blending into each other. And I don't like using the word burnout, but I feel like I start to like, I'm like, dude, I need a break, but like, I don't want to fucking take a break. Like, I want to have infinite energy. But by taking a Saturday or a Sunday, just completely, I'm just going to chill, I come up with the best ideas ever.
Same for me always. And there's like a formula to it. Everyone is different. But if you read the book, Peak Performance, Elevate Your Game, it's all about stress and rest. And so the top athletes in the world, and also the top CEOs and top, whatever, lawyers, doctors, etc., they figured out this formula of, I understand my body and I know how much I can push. And to a certain point after that, I need to rest and like as hard as I push. And for me, it was like, okay, if I'm going to work insanely hard Monday through Thursday, I could do that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'll leave Friday for socializing and getting ideas from other people. Saturday, Sunday, I'll leave it for completely decompressing and maybe just learning, watching some educational YouTube videos, listening to a book, whatever, doing those things that technically I'm still working, right? So if I'm learning about a topic, I'm kind of working, right? If I'm
the lines get very blurry,
yeah,
as an entrepreneur, yeah.
But you're doing it in a way where you understand your body and your mind well enough where you're like, oh, I can keep this pace forever. And I know like I can go 7 weeks and on the 8th week take a break and do it again, and I can keep the intensity super high.
What specific MMA principles translate to your business success?
Shit, man. Like all of them, bro. So I would say full accountability, right? The number one thing you learn in MMA, you're in the cage, it's you. Like you can't blame your coach for losing. You can't blame your wife. You can't blame, your nutritionist. You can't blame anyone. You're the one who didn't do the things that were needed to win. So that extreme accountability that you learn, 1% better every day is one of the biggest, things. Fail fast and fail forward. So this is a concept. I think someone posted this thing where it's like, if you knew that your big break was 40 failures away, how fast would you start failing?
Yeah.
Right? I saw that post recently. And in MMA, everyone knows this. Like you're going to learn a move, like for example, double leg takedown. And 100% you're going to do it in live sparring and you're going to lose many times, and that's the only way that you can get good at it. So your brain is like kind of conditioned to, okay, if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I know I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna fail, and obviously keep getting better every single time, 1% better. Fail fast, fail forward until I know I'm gonna get good and I'm gonna actually land it in the next time. And so, that's one of the concepts like that. For me, it's like people were planning and like they're afraid of failure. I'm like, you don't need to get it right, bro. You just need to do it, and then what happens is going to teach you what you did right and wrong, and then take that wrong and correct it, and then do it again, and you're going to do right and wrong, and then keep doing that. And the faster you do it and the more times you iterate, the better you're going to get. And that is one thing that has allowed me to move way faster than others, because they're trying to avoid the mistakes. I'm trying to do the mistake because that's the lesson.
Running full tilt into them.
Yeah, because that's what teaches you. And then the one that my coach Nick Newell, one of my favorite coaches ever. He has actually one arm, MMA fighter, world champion. That guy always said, you'll never fail if you don't quit. The only time you actually fail is when you quit. And that has always stuck with me because, if you think about it in business, like no matter how hard shit gets, if you quit, you failed, right? But if you don't quit, if you just keep
playing the game, stay in the game. Yeah, I say that all the time.
Yeah.
Like my business partner and everybody's like, the only way we like lose, the only way we fail is if we leave the game, exit.
Exactly. And then at the end of the day, bro, that's you're cutting yourself short, right? Because everyone is not getting to the goal. Like if you're not making $10 million a year or whatever, it's because there's something that you're falling short in. You're either not good enough at sales or marketing or fulfillment or speaking or recruiting or something, right? You're not good enough at something, because if you're amazing at everything, you would get there, right?
Yeah.
So that goal, that money, and not, let's not just tie it to money. The fact that you can't make the money and live the good life and be healthy is because you're falling short in areas of your life. So I love that business keeps you very accountable, right?
Yeah.
And you can't look yourself in the mirror, oh, like the industry that I chose was bad. Okay, pivot, go to a different industry. If it was the industry, then pivot. And if you have all the skills, like with me, I had all the skills from agency. I went into a med spa. I had tremendous success. So, if you have the skills, you go from a bad industry to a good industry, you'll succeed. So, there's no failure there, right? And so that's why I love business. It keeps you so accountable. And to me, that's why I love the agency, because it's so brutal that it shines this very bright light on all of your shortcomings. If I'm not good enough at marketing and being able to generate leads without needing to shake hands and get referrals from everyone, it's going to show me that. It's going to be like, oh, guess what? You went on vacation for 2 weeks.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
As a business, I'm so heavily reliant on me meeting people in person, me shaking hands, me doing that business development. And that's fine if I want to stay at this level, but I'll never break through that next level. So I had to have this hard conversation with myself of like, why the hell are we not running ads, bro?
Exactly.
Why haven't? And so, finally we started running ads, and lo and behold, after a few weeks, I'm getting booked calls.
Exactly.
Like, oh yeah, maybe I should have done this sooner. But I want to go back to the MMA thing real quick, because to me, there's no better comparison, with any type of martial art and business is getting punched in the fucking face, bro. When you get punched in the face, and metaphorically, I feel like we get punched in the face in life in so many ways, whether it be relationships, whether it be, family, whether it be business, whether it be your health, whatever. MMA, you're actually getting punched in the face. I'll never forget, one of the first times, training, and I actually sparred, and I sparred this big dude. I'm not a small guy, so I'm usually up against gorillas. I got clocked clean in the face, and I was so angry. My eyes are tearing up, my nose, I think I broke my nose. I couldn't eat for fucking 3-4 days, and I came home, I felt like a little bitch. I'm like, bro, can't believe I just got punched in the face. Yo, what if my girl saw that? Am I yo, you just start questioning everything. And then there's 2 ways I could react to that. There's one way I could say, oh, no, this is not for me. I'm not going to do this. Or I'm like, I don't know, maybe next time I'll put my hands up.
Exactly. What did I do wrong? You're like, what did I do wrong? Because if I got punched in the face, and I think the one thing I want to mention here is it's also being calm under pressure. I don't know if this happened. I'm sure it happened to you. But when I first started sparring, right, everything was like, you're flinching. Exactly. And you can't really take a punch, and you're always kind of reacting. And then you see the professionals, and they get punched straight in the face, and they don't even bat an eye, and they go and counter.
Yep.
And that is, I would say, probably the best thing that you can take away from MMA is when you get punched in the face in life, in business, and you have no stress response, you're thinking super clearly, and you're like, what's my next move? And that is what has helped me. There's one day my entire finance team quit. 3 people all at once quit. They're like, this person arguing with this person, they're arguing with that person. They're like, we're all quitting. I'm like, okay, cool. What are we going to do? What's the plan? Called my COO. Hey, let's strategize. What if we did this? What if we did that? What if we did this? Boom. Okay, we have a plan of action. Done deal. I'm going to try and salvage this one person, bring them in. You know what I mean? And so that is, I would say, it's also in jiu-jitsu, bro. In jiu-jitsu, you're getting choked, right? And you're losing blood, you're losing air. And it really, if you start to freak out, you immediately get choked. I don't know if you know this, but if you are getting choked and you freak out, you immediately get
try to be calm.
Exactly. And if you're calm, most likely, if you do the right things, you get out of it. And so that is one of the biggest things. If you're not doing a difficult thing right now in your life, just look at your life, right? If you're not doing something that is grueling, that really fucking pushes you, you should go join jiu-jitsu. It's a superpower.
So how do you use that kind of resistance, that getting punched in the face, for you, practically though, like let's say someone's going through like a breakup, or let's say their whole finance team like quit and whatever, like I feel like, obviously, I mean, I can relate with like, yeah, you know what, bro, like you just fucking, you deal with it, or you take it on the chin and whatever, and we keep it pushing. But like, I feel like a lot of people don't know how. Like, how do you actually channel that and be like, yo, I need to stay absolutely calm under pressure?
It just happens naturally. That's the best part, right? It just translates. You know what I mean? Like one thing translates to another. So you like, how do you do that without simulating like your business collapsing every other day? Well, you just create a different situation where you're like in this shit spot, like, you're getting bullied by everyone when you start, like everyone's better than you. You're feeling pain, you're feeling helpless, and you just don't quit. And, all of a sudden you notice like in business, shit's hard and you're also not quitting. And then, first you're freaking out about shit, then you're calm under pressure at jiu-jitsu. And next thing you know, in life, this thing comes at you and you're super calm under pressure and you handle it. And, you'll notice by the demeanor of like athletes, like combat athletes, like any black belt in jiu-jitsu, pro MMA fighter, whatever, like just watch them in not even in business, right? Let's say they have nothing to do with business. Watch them in any situation, right? They're always calm. They're not intentionally doing that. It's just transferring over. Like they know, like when they're getting punched in the face or something's happening, they're staying calm and they're thinking the next move, and it just translates into life. That's actually the best part. You don't even have to try.
I love it. What was the belief that 18-year-old Mina had that now is holding you back?
Yeah. I think money, like talking about money. Like the number one way to not make money is to by not talk about it. You know what I mean? If you stop talking about money, you're probably not going to make any money. And my parents taught me like never ask someone about their salary, never ask someone about how much they make or how much they bought their car or their house or whatever. Come on, like this, it's not good. It's like what do they call it? It's like exactly. And then I listened to that advice and I was broke. I went from one corporate job to another, and I was like, I'm still broke. And the second that I'm like, yo, why am I listening to my parents? Like, that's what, this is bad advice. Like, I'm going to end up like them. Not that they're just not like ultra successful like I want to be. I'm like, okay, let me listen to someone that I want to become like. And you notice like these people have no shame talking about money or whatever they want, right? Because like I said, the solution to everyone's problem is in someone else's head. So I'm going to come to you and be like, Deep, like, bro, how did you buy this expensive watch? Like, how could you afford it? And you're like, oh, it's cost me like $13,000. And I actually, first I did this and then I did that. And I went to talk to this guy and actually it's an investment. And if you buy it, it's just like storing money in a different sort of asset. And I could sell it today for 14,000. So it actually made money. And then I'm like, oh shit, now I can do that. You know what I mean? Because I have 25,000 sitting in my bank account. I could, maybe not responsible to do that, but if I took 13,000, put it in a watch, if I ever need the money, I'll just go sell the watch, And so this happened to me like the second that I did that, right? The second I'm like, how are you making money? How are you making money? How are you making money? Where are you getting your leads from? How are you making money? How did you buy this car? How do you buy this house? How do you finance this? You know what I mean? Then all of a sudden I'm like, shit, I could do all this shit. Like now I know how to do it because I became obsessed about, how to do it. And I just asked everyone and it was no longer taboo. It was actually the more that I asked, the better I became at it.
That's so powerful, man. And it comes back to how we started this podcast of like you being intentional about your network and your social life, because it's not just social life the way I think people think about social life. Like when you are an entrepreneur, every relationship that you build is somehow, some way, usually centered around like some kind of leveling up. Yeah. Whether it be, romantic relationships, you can have a partner that's going to be a drag. That's not going to like help you want to build your own empire. You just can't have that. Whether it's if the friends circle, if they're just doing blowing, partying all night, every night, like, yo, you can't, do that. So I really appreciate kind of how you are so intentional about that. Do you believe that, do you believe in like, when it comes to business overall, do you believe in following your gut instinct when it comes to like relationships and things like that? Or do you always look at like, objectively speaking, like this person has made $20 million. I want to learn from them about tax planning. Like, or is it a mix of both?
No, I mean, It's both. It's 100% both. You have to do the due diligence. Don't just depend on your gut, but always listen to your gut. But don't be like, oh, you know what? My gut feeling tells me this, so I'm just gonna skip due diligence. Do the due diligence, and even when everything looks good, follow your gut. But if something looks bad, then your gut was probably telling you about it. But yeah, I mean, dude, it can't be one without the other. But it's usually every single time I've gone against my gut, it's been like, fuck, I should have gone with my gut. But again, your gut is also probably hinting like, hey, man, you could have caught this. Like if you had done, I got screwed over by a partner recently, like major, major. And when I look back at it, the warning signs were in my face. If I had followed my methods, it would have been like, slap me in the face, rejection, 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 like do not do this deal, right? But I ignored the technical side and I ignored my gut, and then I fucking got slapped in the face when it all went down. And then I was talking to my other partner. We were 3 partners, now we're 2. I'm like, bro, we saw this all along. Like we were just pussies basically because we wanted to ignore the signs because we wanted, like, we were a little bit emotionally attached to like the dream of what this could become. But I'm like, if I was Mina now, I would have been like, due diligence, he failed in due diligence, done.
How do you balance emotion and logic in any type of decision making? Because we are human at the end of the day. We are emotional creatures in a lot of ways. How do you bring the logic back to these decision making processes?
So I would say you want to remove emotion completely. And I know it's hard. So you have to check that you're removing emotions. So I have a mentor. And what I would do is basically I'd go to the mentor and say, listen, this is the way I'm thinking. What do you think? And by the way, my mentor is the one who said you should cut this guy out early too. And I'm like, this is how I'm thinking. What do you think? Am I putting emotion into this? And he will check me objectively and say, yes, you are. Cut this part out. I'm like, okay. Hey, I just read it. Am I putting emotion in this? This looks pretty logical. You're good. And so having that sounding board and that objective person that has no bias, that has nothing to gain or lose if you fail or succeed, and you can trust, that is, I think, the biggest thing that you could do. Emotions should always be zero. Like emotions serve zero purpose at all. Like the only emotions that are good are going to be like happiness, love, right? Those are the only 2 emotions that are good. There's no happiness and love in business. It doesn't serve you at all. Being in love doesn't serve you in business. Being happy doesn't serve you in business. So the goal, if anything that you do in business, should be zero emotion. And the only thing you need to do is check with someone that you trust objectively that you're putting no emotion into this shit.
You talk about mentorship. Have you always believed in, investing in courses, coaches, mentorship, that type of thing?
Yeah, 100%. So when I started MMA Nutrition, I grew it from 0 to like in 6 months it was doing 20K, and then 3 months after that was doing like 40K, and then like 4 months after that it was doing 90K. And the only way that I was able to get that 90K a month was by making so many mistakes, by losing so much money, by getting punched in the face a million times. And when I look back, I was like, dude, if I had just had a Mina that I paid money guiding me, I would have avoided 1,000% of all these mistakes. And so when I started Trivium, I said, I'm not going to do the same mistake again. I hit up everyone and I was very clear in the description. I said, I am looking for a COO of an 8-figure agency that understands systems and processes really well. I need help structuring this and that. I need to do this and I need help scaling, and I don't want to make any mistakes. I sent it out to every single person that I know that is like somewhat successful. And I got some referrals. I interviewed the people. I found one guy that I super vibed with, and I liked his methodology and how he thought and, everything he's been through.
Wow.
And every time I encountered something, I would ask, he would have a good solution for me. Then I found my mentor, exact same way. Put it out to the richest people I know. I'm like, I'm looking for someone who has exited his agency and like is down to like do some mentorship and like, not doing it as a gig. Like I would be probably like one of two mentors max, like mentees max. You know what I mean? I found a guy. He just exited his business. He was fucking around, living life, super successful. We vibed a lot, and this guy saw every single mistake that I was going to make 6 months in advance.
Wow.
I'm not exaggerating. Every time he would be like, this is probably going to happen to you if you don't fix it. And I would ignore his warnings. And I'll be like, yeah, I'll get to it. Boom. 6 months later, boom, slaps me in the face. And then it happened again. And after it happened twice, I'm like, dude, anything you tell me, I'm immediately taking action on. Like, I don't even need to think, bro. If you tell me this, so
And he's still your mentor to this day.
He's still my mentor to this day, bro. Insanely valuable. And so I would say this, you're not going to have one mentor in every area of life. You're going to need probably one good consultant for marketing, one good one for sales, one good one for operations, whatever. Go and find those people. The faster you find them, and maybe you don't need to pay for all of them at the same time. Find that one thing that's going to make you more money in the business. Get the consultant, use them there. And then, shuffle.
Yeah, it goes back to the priorities. You can't do all of that at once. You kind of have, I don't want to say it this way, but like the luxury to do that now, just at the level that you're at. Every area can have its own like mentor pretty much if you want it. But what people can do, and like what I'm doing right now is like, going back to what you're talking about with the snacks type of thing, is like hacking yourself. If you know that, for me personally, I don't like really enjoy lifting weights. Like I do it, like I know I feel good after, and I like how my body looks and whatever. But like, I'm like, I don't necessarily want to go pick up really heavy things in the morning. Like I would rather do a million other things. So I just hack it where it's like, I have a trainer 4 times a week. There's no choice. I'm paying for it. I have to show up and be accountable. I think it's the same kind of thing with a mentor. And I'd much rather have like a mentor than like a therapist. Like, to be honest, I mean, nothing against just like therapy as a whole, but I've tried that and whatever. And I'm like, I don't want to stay stuck in the past. I want to like talk about the future. I got like so much shit in the future I want to like work on, man. I'm excited about. I don't want to like stay back there. Stop talking about my childhood, man. We're good. Like,
yeah. I'll keep it. It's done. It's over, bro. Like,
what am I gonna
do? Cares about it?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. And honestly, the best thing is when you find the right person, they have the experience. They've been there. They've done that. They made the mistakes, and they just need to see what you're trying to accomplish and tell you exactly how to do it. And you just got to follow their advice. And it's that simple.
If you could give any listener, or if you could get anyone listening right now, 1% habits that they can implement today, what would it be?
Yeah, I honestly, I have two things. It has to be two things. First of all, go focus on your health. Get a clean diet, right? Balanced, high protein, a lot of vegetables, cut the snacks, minimize the eating out. Sleep at least 8 hours a day, cold temperature, eye mask, nose strip, like prioritize sleep, get a Whoop so you track your sleeping and you can optimize it. Drink a gallon of water a day, take your electrolytes, work out intensely at least 4 times a week, start there, right? And then do the benchmarking of like, okay, what are the different categories of my life, where I am right now, where do I want to be? Now you have very clear goals, very clear vision. Most people, and including myself, like before 2018, I was like, I didn't even know what I wanted. Like I was not happy, and I thought that something was going to make me happier. The first thing we think is money. It's not money, okay? And I was just talking to my friend the other day. He's like, yeah. Like when I make this money, I'm like, bro, trust me. When you make that money, which I have, right? You're not, because I made the money and I still don't know how to do X, Y, and Z shit, which you think money is going to solve. Like, for example, flying private. When I have money, I'm going to fly private. I'm like, yeah, maybe. And you're going to fucking do it in such a terrible way that it's going to be like wasting a fuck ton of your money. Or when I have money, then I'm going to buy the Lamborghini. I'm like, maybe, but you're probably going to buy it and it's going to depreciate like shit because you don't know how to fucking buy cars properly. So people in their minds think like, oh, when I have money, this shit is going to happen. It's not. So when you line up all the shit that you want to happen, and every day you're like, okay, how can I get a little bit closer? That's when you actually reach the goal. So first, even have a clear vision and idea of what your life looks like. If you have to basically have it so clear that a movie director comes and says, yo, give it to me, and I'm gonna make like a TV thing about it, right? Like I'm actually gonna hire actors, and so it can't be vague. It's got to be like real fucking precise. Mm-hmm. Once you have that, then you know where you're going. Then you're like, okay, what resources do I need to get there? And then you're actually going to get there. Mm-hmm. So the health and those are my two.
Yeah, and I'd say what I love about that is, selfishly, I've been practicing that, and I kind of, it's obviously not as refined and clear and like whatever. I'd love to share this with you after, and you can help me refine this and make it a lot clearer. But I'm very proud of myself because this is a huge win for me. Is every day I sign a contract with myself in the morning, first thing in the morning. I have this 2-page document, and the first page is like I prime myself by just read like different identity stuff where I know I already am in my mind and all this stuff for, I feel like there's 3 big identities that I'm working on right now currently. They'll always change maybe in shift, but right now it's the athlete, the entrepreneur, and the artist. Those 3. And then there's specific things that I'm doing every single day to move that needle forward every single day. And then I actually write like the 3 things, the 3 biggest things that I'm doing, like the boulders, not the little rocks, which are great. But like, if I forgot to put my eye mask on one night, like it's not the end of the fucking world. But if I went and partied and drank like 10 shots of tequila, we got to have a conversation with ourselves. I broke my contract. You know what I mean? And since doing that, bro, I haven't had a drink of alcohol. I've been training like twice a day. I'm more locked in spiritually, mentally, with the business, everything than I've ever been. And so do you have anything like that you do daily? Or are you just so like with your Sunday, planning and whatever, and everything's delegated, like you just already know it's going to flow and move?
No, I do have that daily thing, which is, remember, like in 1 year, what does my life look like in the 11 categories? And I read that every day.
Okay.
And subconsciously, every decision goes through this filter of like, if I do this, will it get me closer to these states in my different, like, so for example, I want to be like 11% body fat, 185 pounds of muscle, right? And so, someone invites me out to dinner on Wednesday, I'll tell them, listen, bro, I don't do dinner. You could come to my sauna, we can get a workout in, we can get a green juice / smoothie and go on a walk, but I don't do dinner. You know what I mean? And if I do dinner, it's going to be either on Friday or on Saturday. I prefer my cheat meal to be with my wife so we can enjoy it together. And if I'm going to do that one thing, like I have nothing else going on, it's going to be that one thing, we're going to go to dinner, that's cool. And I know what I'm going to eat, and it's going to be like skirt steak, no fat, no oil, no butter. You know what I mean? It's so because I've subconsciously trained my mind, this is where I want to be in terms of my health. And some people are like, man, but this sucks. And I'm like, I understand where you're coming from. I was a huge foodie. I love food, but it got to a point where I craved the body more than the food.
Yeah.
And then when that shift happened, it's no longer like, I'm like, dude, I'm enjoying my body more than I was enjoying the pizza and the pasta and the seafood and all.
For sure. And like, yeah, that food and stuff is still satisfying in like a small quantity and for a moment. But man, it feels so good to like love your body more and to like see cuts and muscles that you haven't seen before. And,
totally.
That's it tastes way better.
100%.
I would say. Well, bro, Mina, we could sit here for hours and continue. And look, we will do many more episodes, bro. I know we just scratched the surface on so much, but that's why it's called It's Not That Deep, bro. It was a pleasure having you on. Please promote whatever you want to promote, man. I know you talked about that course. You're going to be doing a talk in Tampa
in October.
Please, like, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want more detail on like, my like operations, my recruiting, that process, go to the Tampa. It's a limitless event in Tampa, October 17th and 18th, I believe. And then for everyone who wants a life manager, just doesn't know how to hire one or needs me to place one for them and do the training, we actually have a business. Eddie Malouf and I have a business together. It's called Executive2CEO, Executive2CEO.com. Go there, watch the video, fill out the application. We do placement and we do the training as well. So you get end to end, like we find an incredible, life manager local to you, or if you don't want local, I don't think the money's not going to be worth it if it's not local. If it's local, it's going to be super worth it, the money. And then we also train them, so they have all of our systems, process, procedures, all that kind of stuff. That's basically, the main things. And if you guys have any questions, hit me up. My Instagram's @ Mina Elias. That's pretty much it.
Brother, I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate the training session, and I can't wait to continue to build this relationship, man. I feel like I could get a lot of mentorship from you. So thank you for your time and energy.
My pleasure.